Yes, we have finished with this short run equilibrium diagram, right? So in short run equilibrium, what is the condition? AR is equal to MR, which is equal to the given price, and that should equal to marginal cost. That was the first order condition of the perfectly competitive firm's short run equilibrium. And the second order condition is your marginal cost curve must be upward rising, which is actually the stability condition. Okay. So that much we have discussed. So what is the next? As I said in my last class, there is a particular relation between the AR, MR and the elasticity of demand. So here it is. Can you see this paper? Can you see this slide properly?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now look, this is your total revenue, P into Q. So you know what is the marginal revenue? Change in total revenue divided by change in Q. So it is equal to P prime Q plus P. Okay. That means when you are differentiating PQ with respect to Q, the first one is P, which is a function of Q. Let me take my pointer. Yes. So that P is here. And then you are getting P prime Q, that is differentiating P with respect to Q with constant Q. Okay. So that is P prime. You know, P prime is nothing but the slope of the demand curve. So here it is, you know, you already know what is AR. AR, that is average revenue, is nothing but the price. So I am replacing P by AR. Okay, fine. You may not write it because in the next line I am taking P as common. Then you are getting P prime by P into Q plus 1. Okay. Now you can understand what is P prime. P prime is dp dq. Okay. So if I am taking 1 by P prime, that will be dq dp. So it is very similar to our elasticity. So that is why in the next line I am writing dp by dq, dp dq. That means into q by p. This is nothing but my mod value of the elasticity of demand, because generally elasticity of demand, the mathematical value is negative. Okay. So that is why there is a negative sign with mod E. So there you are getting the relationship between AR, MR and elasticity. Now look, at the middle of your demand curve, you know, if it is a downward sloping straight line demand curve, then your at the midpoint of your demand curve, your elasticity is equal to 1, right? Above it is greater than 1, below it is less than 1. Okay. So when it is equal to 1, that means just at the midpoint of your AR, then that E will be 1. So 1 by 1 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0. That means AR into 0 is 0. So MR is 0. So that is why just corresponding to the midpoint of your demand curve, your MR will be 0. Okay. That is why it is said that MR is just half of your AR at the when you are drawing the curve. Let me show. Yes, look. At this point, if you are making a vertical line from this point on the AR curve, that will be the midpoint of your AR curve, that is the demand curve where elasticity is equal to 1. Okay. So corresponding to E is equal to 1, your MR will be 0. Then after the elasticity is less than 1. And if it is less than 1, if it is less than 1, then 1 minus 1 divided by something which is less than 1, the ratio will be greater than 1. So 1 minus something greater than 1, that will be negative, right? Your AR is obviously, this is the price positive. With a negative value, that becomes negative. So your MR become negative then after. So your MR curve is negative after this intersection point. Okay. So this is how you can get the relationship between AR, MR and elasticity of demand. Okay. I think it is okay. Sometimes some values are very simple question. Generally, this question is coming in the general course. But if by chance the question is coming in the honors, the value of AR, that is price, elasticity is given, and the third, there are three variables, na? MR, AR or P and elasticity. So any two of those values will be given, and the third is asking what is the value of the third variable. So once you know the relationship, you can just put the values and you will get the answer. Okay. Generally, this question is coming in the general course. And if somehow the question is coming in your course subject, yeah, you can get the answer. Full marks will be 2 maximum. Now, here comes the supply curve of the farm in the short run. So what we have discussed till now, we have discussed about the short run equilibrium, first order, second order condition, the relationship between AR, MR, etc., the price is given and all this. So we know a broad overview of the farm situation. Okay. Now here comes the supply curve. As this is the producer, short run producer, the farm is a producer. So we have to draw the supply curve. How to get it? Now look at this diagram very carefully. Uh, Look, in the horizontal axis, we are measuring quantity. On the vertical axis, we are measuring a lot. MC, AC, AVC, price. So there are a lot actually. Now, your MC curve, you know, it's U-shaped. So when you will draw this type of diagram, first draw your MC curve. And you know, all the minimum points will be on the MC curve, right? So accordingly, you have to draw your AVC, and above the AVC, you have to draw your AC. Okay, so these are the three lines, three curves in your diagram. Now look, if the price is P1, that means this is your AR, is that the first line, that will be your AR is equal to MR line. Okay, that is P1, it is given to you. And you know the equilibrium, the price is equal to MC. In that case, the equilibrium will be E1, right? Now, if it is E1, then what will be the quantity? Quantity will be Q1, very simple. Now I am asking you the question, if the price is P1, whether it is a profit or loss situation. Okay. Thing is that, look, your AR is here. So for Q1, what is the value of AR? E1 Q1. Okay. AR, that is the average revenue, is E1 Q1. Average cost is from here, right? Here, I don't know the name. Okay, anything ABCD. Here to Q1. So you can see from the diagram that average revenue is greater than average cost for Q1, right? Average revenue is greater than average cost. So total revenue is greater than total cost. That means profit. So if somehow the price is P1, the farm is earning profit. Is it clear to all?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now look, if the...
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Now I am getting a lot of sounds. Okay, fine. Now look, if the price is P2, then the equilibrium is E2, because again that P is equal to MC. So E2 is the equilibrium. Now if E2 is the equilibrium, the quantity is Q2. Now what happened? What is your AR, average revenue? E2 Q2. What is your AC? E2 Q2. Same, because this is the minimum of AC. Na? So E2 Q2 is equal to your average cost is equal to your average revenue. That means total revenue is equal to total cost. Profit is 0. Okay, but still it is okay. Still it is okay. Now look, if the price is P3 lesser than P2, equilibrium is E3. Your average revenue is E3 Q3. Okay, your average revenue is E3 Q3. Your average cost is somewhere here. Let me draw, otherwise I cannot explain. Just a minute. It will be a clumsy one, but I have to. Your average cost will be like this. Okay. From here, that will be the C. So CQ3 is your average cost. And your average revenue is E3Q3. So your average cost is greater than your average revenue. Total cost is greater than total revenue. So profit is negative. So it's a loss. Negative profit means loss. Now the question is coming, whether the farm will produce at this situation or not. The answer is, it depends. Apparently, you can say, okay, it's a loss. Why should the farm produce? But the answer is not so easy. You have to explain it in more details. Look, if say, okay, I'm just following your rule. You are saying the farm should stop the production. Okay, fine, stop it. If you are reducing if you are making your production level 0, then your total income is 0. Fine. Your total variable cost expenditure is also 0, because variable cost is depending on your production level. When your production is 0, variable cost is also 0. But what about your fixed cost? You have to bear your fixed cost now, because it is independent of your production level. So you have to give the fixed cost. What is the fixed cost? CE3, right? CE3. This is the fixed cost for Q3. And if you just make a triangle, it will be a rectangle sort of thing. Then that is the total fixed cost. Okay, let me draw. It's becoming a clumsy one. Okay, so that's CQ3, P3, and this point. This is the total fixed cost for the production, because it is above the AVC, right? AC minus AVC. This is your AFC. So AFC into Q, that will be your total fixed cost. So total fixed cost is this rectangle. Is it clear to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you are getting your total fixed cost. So now the question is, if you just stop your production, then there will be no variable cost. Okay, your income is 0, expenditure for the variable factor is 0, but there is fixed factor, and the expenditure for the fixed factor is this rectangle. Okay, now the question is whether it is, so it's a loss. Definitely it's a loss, no doubt, it's a loss. Now look, if the price is a bit more than P3, if the price is a bit more than P3, like here, it's here between P2 and P3, okay, anywhere like here. If it is like this, then again it's a loss. If the price is less than P2, it's a loss, because your average revenue will be less than average cost. Definitely it's a loss. But the thing is, in that case, if the price is not P3, a bit more than P3 but below P2, then you are covering your variable cost and you are covering a part of your fixed cost. As you cannot cover your total fixed cost, it's a loss. But with your income, with your revenue, you are covering a part of your fixed cost. Okay. And at that point, if you stop the production as it is a loss, then what will be the loss? The loss will be the total fixed cost. But if you can continue your production, then you can cover a part of your fixed cost. So that variable cost is not a problem. Once you are entering in the production process, whatever you will earn, you can cover your variable cost given that price. So this is not a problem. And if you stop your production, you are not earning, you are not spending for the variable factor, so it's done. But what about the fixed factor? If you are in the production process, a part of your fixed cost is covered. But if you leave the production, total fixed cost is your loss. So in both cases, there is loss. But where the loss is minimum, when you are in the production. Okay, when you are in the production, your loss is only a part of your fixed cost. And when you are out of the production, the loss is total fixed cost. So it's better to stay in the production process, because in both the cases you have to face the loss. So there you have to minimize your loss. Okay, in that case your objective will be to minimize the loss. So how to minimize? Produce. If you produce and you are you can charge, you are getting the price more than P3 like this. So here a part of the fixed cost is covered. So you should be happy with that. Otherwise, you have to spend total of your fixed cost without earning a single rupee. So it's better to stay in the production. Okay. So this is a very common question in perfectly competitive market, that whether the firm should produce with making loss. What do you think? Your answer is depending on this diagram. You have to say that if price is more than P2, it's not an issue, because always there is profit. But if price is less than P2, then you have to see how much fixed cost you are covering. If it's like that, it's a loss. If price is less than P2, definitely it's a loss. But there you have to check whether you are covering your fixed cost or not, because variable cost is not a problem. Once you are reduced, once you are stop your production, there will be no variable cost. Your income is zero, expenditure for variable factor is zero, so it's done. It's over. But what about the fixed factor? You have to spend the fixed cost. So once you are in the production, you can cover a part of your fixed cost. So it's better to stay in the production, otherwise your total loss will be the total fixed cost. So this is how you have to explain that why a farm with loss is producing in the short run, definitely in the short run. Okay. Now look, if the price is less than P4, if the price is less than P4, the P4 should be minimum through the, yes, the P4 is here. Okay, P4 is here. Now what will happen? Equilibrium is at E4, the quantity is Q4. Okay. Now for Q4, your average cost, this is your average revenue. P4 is your average revenue. And your average cost is here. Okay. Your average cost is like this. This is your average cost. Your average revenue is here. So you can understand the gap between average revenue and average cost. Okay. This is your average revenue. But the thing is, with your total revenue, if you are just multiplying P4 with Q4, you will get the total revenue. Okay. So that total revenue is something someone is waiting. Let me check. Joydev. Yes. Now see, if you are doing this thing, then your average revenue is here, your average cost is here. So it's significantly different. Now another thing is that once you stop your production, it's a loss. You can stop your production. But if you stop, then this is your variable cost is where? Your variable cost is here. This is your variable cost. So with your income, you cannot cover fixed cost is something different. But before the fixed cost, even your variable cost is not covered with your income. Right? If the price is P4, you cannot cover the fixed cost. Definitely, the fixed cost is out of the reach, but you cannot cover your variable cost. So in that case, you should stop your production. Because once you stop your production, your variable cost will be zero. You cannot change the problem from the fixed cost. It will be there. Whether you are in the production, whether you are not in the production, you have to give the fixed cost, which you cannot earn. So this is a loss. And once you will stop the production, your variable cost will be zero. Once you are in the production, your income is such that you cannot cover your variable cost. So it's better to stop your production. Okay. So here also, to minimize the loss, it's better to stop the production. So from where you will do that? Just from the minimum of AVC. Any price below the minimum of AVC will give you this situation. That not the fixed cost, you cannot cover your variable cost as well. Okay. So when the situation is such,
Ma'am,
yes.
what will happen at P3? Like any point below P3, the
You
firm
are
will shut
indifferent.
down.
Yes. At P3, you are indifferent. Okay. At P3, you are indifferent. You should be here because this is just the, what can I say? This is just the king point. Below that, you should stop your production. Above that, even with the loss, you should be in the production. So this is the bliss point, I should say.
Okay, ma'am.
Now E3 is something, the point of change. So that is why E3, that point E3 is called shutdown point. Okay. That point E3, that means the minimum of AVC is called the shutdown point. Because if the price is below P3, you should shut down your factory. If it is above that, with loss also you should produce. Okay, so minimum of AVC is called the shutdown point. Remember, sometimes the questions are coming. What is the name of minimum of AVC, or what is shutdown point? So you have to write it. So this is called the shutdown point. Okay. Now look, if your price is P1, your equilibrium. Where is my pen? I cannot find. Just a minute. Just a minute. Where is my pointer? Yeah. If the price is P1, equilibrium is E1. If the price is P2, equilibrium is E2. If the price is P3, equilibrium is E3. So all the equilibrium points are on my MC curve, right? So whatever price below, obviously above P3, the equilibrium points will be on MC curve and corresponding quantity. So MC curve is just like the supply curve, na? MC curve is just like the supply curve. Corresponding to different prices, what will be the quantity? Okay, so MC curve is the supply curve. MC curve is the supply curve of the firm above the shutdown point. Okay, above the shutdown point. The MC curve above the shutdown point is the supply curve of the firm. Because below the shutdown point, there is no supply, because the producer will stop the production. There will be no supply. So there will be no curve. So MC curve above the shutdown point is the short run supply curve of the firm. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Now look, industry supply curve. So you can understand your supply curve will be like this. Generally, we are drawing the supply curve from anywhere. It is through origin, from the vertical, from the horizontal axis, from anywhere we used to draw. But in case of the perfectly competitive firm, it must be from here, because here you have your shutdown point. Below that, there will be no supply. Okay. So this is the supply curve of a firm. Now you know how to get the industry supply curve. You have to just make a horizontal summation of all the firm supply curve. So once you are making the horizontal summation of the individual supply curves, you will get this curve, which is called the industry supply curve. So if you just go through this line, it will be clear. If Q, capital Q is the industry supply, is summation of small qy, where price is greater than equal to ABC. Look, I think it was, who is asking the question? What will be at the minimum of ABC? Yes, it is at the supply curve. Okay, it is on the supply curve. The minimum of ABC shutdown point is also on the supply curve. Below that, there will be nothing. So if P is greater than equal to ABC, then you are having this industry supply curve. And if it is equal to 0, if P is less than ABC. Okay. So this is how we are getting industry supply curve of the perfectly competitive industry in the short run. Remember, this is short run. Okay. Any question?
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, what does the second diagram shows?
Industry supply curve, the horizontal summation of the firm supply curve.
Okay, ma'am. Got
It is capital Q. It may not be very prominent, but on the horizontal axis, it is capital Q showing industry, and small q is showing firm. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so the short run, hopefully Done. So in the long run, we are in the long run. Now, here the long run, we are going to introduce a new concept, that is the concept of supernormal profit and the normal profit. Before that, we know about the profit. We know what is profit. Profit is the difference between the total revenue and the total cost. If someone is asking me write the equation of profit, we are just writing TR minus TC. This is profit. Yes, this is profit. But in case of this chapter, we have to go to some more details. What is the details? What we are talking about as a profit is actually the supernormal profit. So, look, say in the short run, the existing firms are earning profit, which is actually the supernormal profit. Specifically, it's a supernormal profit. Now, once you are earning the supernormal profit, what will happen? In the long run, what will happen? New firm will enter now because there is free entry exit. That property is there. So existing firms are earning profit. So the firms which are not in the industry, they are encouraged to enter in the industry because they know once I enter in this industry, I can earn profit. So they will enter. But in the short run, it is not possible to enter. So entry and exit, this is always a long run concept because it will take time. In a fine morning, you cannot enter in the industry. You need some preparation for that. You need some time. So it's a long run. Okay. So what will happen? Existing firms are earning supernormal profit in the short run. In the long run, new firms will enter. Okay. But the total size of the industry is fixed. I'm not changing the demand. Only new firms are entering. So that existing supernormal profit, and they are, from each and every respect, they are very much similar. That is the assumption. So the existing supernormal profit that is shared among all the firms now, right? So say in the short run, the supernormal profit is shared among 50 firms. In the long run, another 50 is coming. So now that same market is shared among the 100 firms. So the supernormal profit is also shared among the 100 firms. So per unit profit is falling now actually. Okay, per firm, the supernormal profit is falling. So ultimately it will be zero. And when it will be zero, no firm will enter. It's a lengthy process. It will take time. But finally, the supernormal profit will be zero for all the existing firms. And then no other firm will enter in the market because now they are not interested to enter. Okay. So then you are getting a stable situation in the market. So that stability is the long run. Okay. So now you are getting the long run equilibrium. So what is the property of the long run equilibrium? In the long run equilibrium, there is no supernormal profit. Okay. Now you can ask me, if there is no profit, why should firm produce? Because this is their income. If their income is zero, then why should they produce? They should live. Yes, true. But the thing is, I'm saying about the supernormal profit. There is one normal profit. Actually, what is the function of the firm? They are the entrepreneurs, right? So they are just like the management part of the production process. So labor is there, land is there, capital is there, management is also there. So they are getting their salary. Labor is getting its salary as wage. Not the salary, I should say the return. The capital will get the salary as, I should say the land is getting the salary and the return in terms of rent. So this is how the management is also getting their return in terms of profit. So this is their income. That they will get. This is the part of the total cost. Total cost is not zero. Total cost is there. So they will get that part. But they cannot earn anything extra. Okay? So it's not like that their income will be zero. No, they will get. They will get according to their effort in the production process. Workers are getting their return according to their effort. Labor, capital, everyone is getting. The same thing will be happen with the management. They are getting their effort and they are getting their return as well. This is a part of the total cost of the firm. So that part, the return of that management side is called the normal profit. So they are earning now the normal profit, nothing extra. So supernormal profit is zero, but normal profit is there. So it's not like that. Apparently, it's very confusing that okay, profit is zero, so their income is zero. Why should they produce? But their profit is not zero. Their supernormal profit, their extra profit is zero, but the return of their effort is there. That is called the normal profit. So they are earning normal profit, but they are not earning the supernormal profit. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So that supernormal and the normal profit part is done. Now look. So if your so-called supernormal profit is zero, then pi, that will be zero. So total revenue is equal to total cost. So total revenue is P into Q. Total cost is C function of Q. So that will be equal to each other. Okay. So you know the equilibrium condition d pi dq, that will be 0 and it will be like, so P is what? P is equal to C divided by Q, that is LSC. So this is something additional. So you are getting your normal equilibrium, that is P is equal to AR is equal to MR, that is MC. It's okay. Here MC is LMC obviously because it's a long run. And the additional thing is that at the equilibrium, your AC should be there. So AR is equal to MR is equal to MC is equal to AC. That equal to AC is the additional part from the long run. Okay. So your AC is equal to AR. So your supernormal profit is 0 at equilibrium. Okay. So this is the long run equilibrium diagram and the long run equilibrium condition. The first condition is same as before, that is AR is equal to MR is equal to P is equal to MC. This is there. MC is upward rising. This is also there. Otherwise, you will not get the stable one. And the additional one at equilibrium, AC should equal to AR. Okay. So this is the long run equilibrium. Any question? No. Okay, so the last part. This is actually the last part. I will not explain this part. I will explain it. No, Friday is a holiday. You know that because Friday we are going to organize eConverge. Few of you are the members of that part. So Friday we cannot take the class. Okay, fine. We will consider it. No issue because we have a lot of time in our hand. So the long run supply curve. Long run supply curve. Can you remember the short run supply curve? This is the short run supply curve where it is. Yes. This is how we get the short run supply curve. So the same thing you can get it in the long run. In the long run, you know, because now LSE is very important. Na? LSE is a part of your equilibrium condition. So in the long run, there are three types of industry. One is constant cost industry. That means your average cost is constant. Constant doesn't mean your total cost is constant. Whatever production you have done, your total cost will be constant. No, your average cost is constant. Okay. So your average cost is constant. That means say 20% increase in your total cost. So your total output will be increased by 20%. So this is constant cost. Increasing cost means what? Increasing cost means if you spend 20% more, you will get less than 20% increase in output. So that means there is a problem in the industry. So this is called the decreasing returns. This is why. This is because of the decreasing returns to scale. Okay. You know the DRS. So there is DRS. There may be congestion. There may be some problem within the industry. That is why the effort you are paying, you are not getting that much of return. So this is called the increasing cost industry. There may be decreasing cost industry because of the increasing returns to scale. Don't confuse with that increasing, decreasing. Decreasing cost industry means there is increasing returns to scale. That means if you are spending 20% more for your inputs, you will get more than 20% as a return. Okay, so there is economies of scale actually. What is the reason behind the decreasing cost industry? Economies of scale. What is the reason behind the increasing cost industry? These economies of scale. Okay, that means the congestion, the labor problem, anything. And decreasing cost industry means everything is very much good there. Your production is so large, your average cost is falling, so everything is there. So based on these three types of industry structure, long run supply curve of the perfectly competitive industry will be different. The shapes will be different. It will take a bit time to explain each of these diagram. I have those diagram, but it will take a bit time. So it's better to stop here for today. In the next class, we will explain this diagram. Okay. Now ask